view him as somebody who could position himself to be that QB2. And if he's not in that position, but he's playing well, we know that the reason that would be the case is because they don't want people clamoring for Shedeur Sanders prematurely.
Yeah, I agree. It's a stair-step process. The first step that he took was in the preseason game as far as bunching his name in the bunch with the guys that are playing.
Because my attitude is a Kenny Pickett, a Dylan Gabriel, a Tyler Huntley, that should not be enough to derail Shedeur Sanders. To me, you're legitimately competing for the QB2.
Stephen A. Smith didn't hold back, blasting coach Kevin Stefanski for what he says is a fake controversy. According to Stephen A., Stefanski purposely pushed the Shedeur is injured storyline to make it look like the young quarterback isn't really the team's QB2. He accused Stefanski of deliberately holding Shedeur back, saying this sudden oblique injury excuse is nothing but a cover-up. Stephen A. even went further, claiming the whole thing might be coming from higher up, with team ownership pulling the strings while Stefanski just follows orders.
Amount of work that we've seen. And that comes with going up against competition. Of course, second and third units and all of that stuff come into play. But when you're the reigning defending Super Bowl champions, had he shown up this weekend and balled out again, playing 45 or more snaps like he did in the first game and putting up similar, if not better numbers, I think that would have boded very, very well for him.
Stephen A. Smith stressed that it was obvious to anyone watching. If Shedeur Sanders had matched his last strong performance, Kevin Stefanski and the team's owners would have had no choice but to play him. According to Stephen A., Shedeur's talent and momentum were undeniable, and his rise to QB2 was bound to happen. But he argued this sudden injury was no accident. Instead, he said it was a perfectly timed roadblock, deliberately created to stall Shedeur's progress. In his eyes, the entire situation was engineered by ownership, with Stefanski simply carrying out their agenda. And Stephen A. might actually have a point, because at this stage it's no longer just about Shedeur Sanders' so-called injury. It's about the bigger picture and the suspicious timing. Just days after the game, Kevin Stefanski faced the media and brushed off the idea that Shedeur was seriously in the mix for the starting role. He claimed his focus was on developing all the quarterbacks on the roster equally. On the surface, that sounded fair and balanced, until the official depth chart dropped. That's when everything flipped, exposing a twist that left many questioning the real motives behind Stefanski's decision.
We know how the game goes. But then he starts talking about the offense, right? 0 giveaways. Okay, this is when you're supposed to insert Shedeur, some fans think. Let's talk.
Okay, special teams, Pookie, takeaway.
Even after Shedeur Sanders delivered what many called the best quarterback performance of the entire preseason, Kevin Stefanski still shoved him down to the 4th spot on the depth chart. And here's where it gets even more suspicious. Both Dorian Thompson-Robinson and Kenny Pickett were dealing with injuries at the time, yet Sanders was somehow ranked behind them. The move didn't just raise eyebrows, it flat-out defied logic, fueling even more rumors and suspicions about the hidden agenda unfolding behind the scenes in Cleveland. Reacting to the depth chart, Shedeur Sanders didn't hold back on blasting the Browns, saying that being a 5th-round pick shouldn't automatically decide his spot on the roster, especially after the way he performed in the preseason. Stephen A. Smith backed him up, making it clear that putting Shedeur at 4th had nothing to do with reality. In his eyes, the decision wasn't about merit or results on the field at all. Instead, he argued the depth chart was fixed from the start, handed to Shedeur not because he earned it, but because that's exactly where the organization wanted him all along.
What your position is on the depth chart at the start of the season, as opposed to the start of training camp and ultimately preseason. Because what happens is that they had him in that position before he competed, before he had a chance to prove himself. It's not like they walked in there and they said, okay, y'all competed, and as a result of what we've seen, we've got you as the QB4. No, you came in there and that's where they placed you.
Just when it seemed like the situation couldn't get any messier, new reports surfaced claiming that Kevin Stefanski has no plans to play Shedeur Sanders in the second preseason game. That revelation only poured fuel on the fire. Despite his standout performance, it's becoming more and more obvious that Sanders might not be part of the Browns' immediate plans, or at least not in the role fans and analysts expected. And that leaves one burning question. Is this all part of some calculated strategy, or is there a deeper, possibly personal motive driving these decisions? And now, out of nowhere, Shedeur Sanders is supposedly injured. It's hard not to believe something else is going on behind the scenes. Just as the calls to put Sanders on the field were reaching their peak, the Browns suddenly seemed to be scrambling for ways to cool that momentum. With no other excuse that made sense, they slapped on the label of arm soreness, insisting it would clear up by the very next day. But that explanation only fueled more suspicion. Is this really a genuine injury, or just a convenient excuse to keep Sanders sidelined while the pressure keeps building? Even Kevin Stefanski admitted that Shedeur Sanders' recovery might take longer than usual, stressing the need for caution since it involves a key muscle group. But the way he worded his comments, and the hesitation in his tone, only added more doubt. Every word felt calculated, like he was carefully sidestepping something. His refusal to lay it all out clearly makes it hard to believe we're getting the full truth, leaving the strong impression that there's more to this situation than he's willing to reveal.
If it's a right guard, you can play through that. When it's a quarterback, you kind of need that muscle to throw. So unfortunately, going to put him down for a little bit here. We'll treat it day to day and see how he responds. But want to be smart because he's a thrower, so you can't push that.
At the end of the day, Shedeur Sanders proved himself, but the Browns' decisions look more like politics than football. Fans and analysts can see the agenda, and the pressure on the team is only building stronger. The question now is simple. Are the Browns protecting the roster, or just protecting their control? Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe so you don't miss the next chapter in this drama.